Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to a bit of a festive review. Today I'm looking at a Bachmann loco in a new scale that I've never tried before, sort of. When I saw today's loco for sale at Train World, I knew I wanted to buy it, no matter what. So, today's locomotive is this. It is a mogul locomotive, simply known as Christmas. That's what it says on the end of the box. Now, looking at this model, you would probably say that this is an O-scale locomotive, and you would be right. However, this is not going to run on my O-scale track. This is going to run, hopefully, on my double O gauge track, because this is not known as an O gauge locomotive, but an ON30 locomotive, which is O-scale narrow gauge. Therefore it runs on double O gauge track. Now in theory you should be able to buy ON30 locomotives and run them on your double O gauge layouts, but that's not really the idea. Obviously this is much larger than an HO or a double O locomotive, and so it's going to crash into tunnels and bridges, and I'm not sure how it's going to handle double O scale curves and things, but we're going to give it a try. Obviously, more ideally, you're supposed to build ON30 layouts with ON30 scenery and presumably curves to match. Obviously, I don't have that facility, but I'm going to do my best. We're going to give it a go. We're going to see what it's like. So, this locomotive on Bachmann's website has an RRP of £173.50, and quite honestly, that doesn't sound too bad. This is an absolutely massive locomotive. That seems like a decent price. But of course, I didn't pay that. I bought this from Train World for $119. Look at this thing, for $119.99, that's £106.29 in GBP. That's insanely inexpensive. Now, obviously I did have to pay postage and other associated costs in order to get this to me in the UK. But even so, that's got to be a bargain, hasn't it? Either that or this thing's an absolute load of rubbish. I guess we'll find that out. But yeah, come with me. Let's take a look at this very festive looking loco, and hopefully we're all going to enjoy it. So yeah, to be honest, I'm just baffled at how seemingly cheap this thing is, especially knowing what Bachmann's like. But hey, I don't know, maybe they just wanted to do something nice for their customers for Christmas. Either that or they've gone entirely insane. I'm not too sure, but I'm looking forward to this one. Right, let me show you the end of the box then. So this is what you need to look up. It's item number 25227. I like the Christmas theme to even the item number there. It is an ON30 260 steam locomotive and tender. Christmas! That's it. No more explanation than that. And incidentally, I can't find any evidence of this thing existing quite like this in real life. Is 1225 the same number as the Polar Express? I'm not sure, but it's something like that, isn't it? Right, well there's not much to see on the box really. There's a little bit of flaffle about how Bachmann Spectrum produced the highest quality products and other similar lies. So let's open up the box and let's take a look. Alright, so we've got double packaging here by the looks of it. So we've got loco separate to tender, so there's the tender, not connected, and it doesn't look as though there's any way to connect the loco and tender together. At least not electrically, obviously you can connect them, that would be very silly. But yeah, we'll look at those in just a moment. First of all, we've got an instruction sheet here. I'm laughing because of the title, 260. It's very blunt, isn't it? You've got Christmas and 260. All right, fair enough. Anyway, instructions, smoke unit, I don't think that's applicable. Braking period, that's always applicable. Troubleshooting, all right, so it's generic. Aha, here we have it, information. So, it's kind of exploded, all of the loco detail is just lumped together. You can see what looks like a standard Bachmann motor with a nice big flywheel on it, so that's good. It doesn't say whether or not this is DCC ready. There is no decoder socket shown on there, and I don't think it mentions DCC, does it? No. So, I don't know. Is this DCC ready? We will have to find out. Surely, though. Yeah, normally these locos are. And presumably this won't pertain to the loco. No, that looks boring. And I know it's Christmas, folks. I know. but I do not want a 332-page full-colour combined Bachmann and Williams catalogue. 6.5 inch by 8.5 inch, that is a lot of square inches of irritating colour pictures. Okay. Hopefully this tender will cheer us all up. Let's have a look. So, seems like the most extreme bit of packaging for a tender that I've ever seen. What does this say? Lift bottom insert sheet for additional product information. What? Oh, I guess they mean take out the instructions from the bottom of the box to find out more. I don't know. Lift bottom insert sheet. I don't know why they use that odd terminology. Trying to confuse us for Christmas, Bachmann? I don't know. Oh, folks, I've been nasty. I laughed at them for what they said on the front of the block of ice, and I've spotted this. Lift here, this is probably what they meant. So, we've got more instructions apparently. Oh. No, we haven't. They were just lying on top of this. So, yes, continue the mocking. I was right to be scathing. Right. Oh, my word. Yeah, this thing looks absolutely amazing. Look at how shiny it is. All right, let's pull this baby out. So normally I would say gloss finishes look toy-like and unrealistic, but I guess that's kind of the idea of this model. It's not supposed to be accurate to anything, I don't think. I guess it is supposed to look kind of toy-like. It's like a Christmas tree base sort of locomotive, isn't it? And so I think the gloss finish looks really, really nice. And of course, if it is Santa's locomotive or whatever, it's not going to be some grubby, dull-looking thing, is it? So actually, yeah, I can fully get behind the gloss finish on this, and it's been done really well. So, North Pole and Southern. We'll be serving both of the poles with this locomotive, are we? All right. But yeah, no electrical plug on this, so tender pickups are out of the question. Okay. Right, but it's the loco that I'm interested in, so let's take a look. Let's see what this is like. Let's pull this sleeve off. Packaging's good, I have to say. There's all this sort of papery stuff between the loco and the packaging to try and protect it a bit. So that's all good, isn't it? All right. Oh, that was scary. We got something drop off the front of the smoke box. What is that? A smoke box protector. Okay. And there's also, oh gosh, it's all packed in foam and stuff. So hopefully that's done the job and protected it. Wow. This loco is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Look at it. God. That is massive for a start. The decoration is quite complex actually. There's loads of different coloured paints on here. Loads of separately fitted parts. All of the details you can see are separately fitted. That's amazing. And all finished off in this beautiful gloss. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So strange because it just looks like an O-gauge loco from this angle. But then we flip it upside down and it's got what looks like a double O-gauge chassis, which is fascinating. I'm hoping this will be able to handle my curves, but no guarantees. And of course, if it can't, it's not the loco's fault. But yeah, I love this thing. I really do. Let's just have a little look at the accessories bag that dropped out. I say accessories, it's just the brake rigging for the loco, so nothing too complex. And really, for what is just a novelty, presumably, it's certainly packing some features, isn't it? So, all right, let's hold these together then for the first time. Let's see what they look like. Yeah, this is just awesome. I am so glad I bought this thing. Oh, it's just epic, isn't it? So, like I say, I didn't find a lot of information on this in real life, but I'll let you have what I found, and then let's take a close look at this thing. So, like I say, I can't find any evidence of this engine existing in real life. Most likely it did in some form, but at least not in this livery with 1225. If you do know any different, please do comment down below and let me know. The same model by Bachmann does appear to have been used to present the Pennsylvania number 9684, which was a narrow gauge mogul built in 1916, and it is preserved today. That loco was cosmetically restored in 2019, and it's housed at the Green Country Museum in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, I believe. How accurate this model would be to that prototype, I'm not entirely sure. Again, if you know, please let me know. That loco though was an Alco variety. I can't be sure whether this one is supposed to be or not. I don't think it says Alco or any sort of builder on it, so it might have to remain a bit of a mystery. So there it is then, the Bachmann 260 Christmas! Up close and personal for you. And yes, indeed, if you were to take the entire concept that is Christmas and boil it down into a single miniature steam locomotive, this is indeed what it would look like. This is Christmas enginified. And I have to say, I absolutely love this thing. It's just awesome, isn't it? For a smidge over £100, this thing is just extreme, isn't it? The number of parts on here, the general quality of it is absolutely fine for that amount of money, and for what is effectively a Christmas decoration, this is miles above a lot of the other objects that fall into this kind of category. Now, in some ways it is a little bit naff. I mean, the quality of some of the moulded components seems a little bit shoddy up close. And you've got things such as the drawbar, which droops down so much that it barely actually matches the tender. And in fact, here I've had to close couple it because the distant coupling option just comes undone immediately. So I'm going to have to bend that drawbar if I want it to work. But otherwise, come on, for £100, just over, you can't go wrong, really, can you? So, in terms of construction, most of this is plastic, the bodywork is just plastic, and the weight comes in at 418 grams, which I don't think is a lot when you consider how large this is. That's a little bit less than the new Hornby A1, so yeah, it's not particularly heavy, but like I say, the decoration is quite complex. You've got banding on the boiler, you've got the various domes, which are separately painted, as you can see, and we've got the running number on this one. The side of the cabs are lined, and you've got the running number 1225 on there, which I love. How festive is that? The wheels are lined, as you can see. You've got lovely white outer wheels. The running plate, the foot plate and such, all of that is painted white. You've got these lamps, which are fully painted and really well painted as well. Beautifully painted lamp on the front with what looks like a real light inside it. Hopefully that will light up. Here's what that weird bit of plastic was protecting, the front of the smoke box, which has a beautiful little sign on there. Yeah, that looks great. And the end is painted silver, which just looks lovely. I love that. Separately painted cylinders as well, and a nice red cowcatcher, which stands out from the rest of the loco quite beautifully. And there's a ton of separately fitted detail on this. You've got a separately fitted whistle / safety valves here, which are made of metal. Yeah, these are both metal. That one looks like it's painted metal. The whistle itself looks like bare brass or something, but still really cool. You've got the handrail here, which is real brass, that's metal. Again, bare brass, really nice and shiny. Separately fitted pipe work, none of this is part of the moulding. You've got what is maybe a little generator here, steam generator perhaps for the power. A bell, which is separately fitted. I think that is plastic, but you know, it's fair enough. A load of separately fitted parts around the front, including this coupling arrangement and the struts on the front of the smoke box. Regular easy mate coupling on the front though, so hopefully I'll be able to couple this up to some standard rolling stock. And the cherry on top of this Christmas cake for me is the cab interior, because yes, there's detail and some of it's painted as well. We've got painted gauges inside there. I mean, this loco is crazy for the amount of money it cost. There's just so much to it. Look at all the detail underneath the cab and the pipe work and the painted firebox and even the springs and the detail between the frames and everything. It's just like, why did they go to so much trouble for just a novelty Christmas engine? I'm not complaining, it's absolutely marvellous, but it's just not what I was expecting at all. Yeah, phenomenal. Let's take a look at the tender. Again, it just gets the Christmas spirit going in you, doesn't it? North Pole and Southern looks great. Wire handrails separately fitted, lovely glossy finish. It's a bogie tender, so you've got quite a lot of axles on there, 4 in fact. So that's really cool. Nice glossy colo, that looks really realistic. Yeah, love that. Water filler cap with a separately fitted handle on it and more separately fitted parts around the back. Look, even the things that hold the coupling tool, they're separately painted. Little toolbox on the back and another one of those easy mate couplings. Yeah, I am thoroughly happy with this, even if it doesn't work at all. This is almost kind of worth the money just as a decoration, isn't it? It's absolutely gorgeous. So let's, I don't know how this is going to go, but let's get it down onto the track. Let's see if it works. and if it can handle my 00 scale curves and such, I will be very impressed, but I feel like we have to try, for Christmas' sake. So, there is Christmas down onto the track, and yeah, it's so odd, isn't it? It's like a gigantic locomotive has been portaled into a 00 scale world. But no, if you imagine this as a narrow gauge O-scale loco, it just looks fantastic, I think. Anyway, the first test has been done and filmed, and I won't spoil what happened there for you. I'll show you that shortly. Next, I went on and did a look at the mechanism, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about now. Yeah, unfortunately, the mechanism is a bit of a weakness of this model. It's your typical Bachmann steam setup, really. So, first of all, obviously, the tender has no pickups on any of its wheels, and in fact, the loco to tender connection is just a simple peg. There is no electrical connection between the two whatsoever. The loco driving wheels have pickups on them, but that means the entire model just has 3 per rail, which is adequate, but it is basic and not particularly impressive. Now, when I came to look at the base keeper plate, I found that the screws were loose. And actually when I tightened them, that drawbar issue went away a little bit. But also when I tightened them, the movement of the axles became a little bit stiff. Not in their rotation, but in the left and right sort of lateral movement. So that's a little bit dodgy, isn't it? Anyway, removing the screws revealed that the base keeper plate was hardwired in place, which isn't great. It's not perfect for servicing, but I did manage to get a shot of the axles to show that there are no proper bearings fitted to them, so that's really unfortunate. I also couldn't get the body off. I removed all of the screws and I used quite a bit of force on the loco body, couldn't get it off. The instructions didn't go into any detail as to how to do this, and I certainly didn't want to push my luck. But in terms of servicing and DCC fitting, that could be a bit of an issue. I'm not sure how you would do either of those, so that's unfortunate, although we have seen that there is a motor and a flywheel inside the loco. That's what the instructions showed. As for the gauging though, the loco drivers came in between 14.3mm and 14.5, which is more or less bang on the standard. So yeah, as like an inexpensive novelty, the mechanism is probably adequate, but it's not up to the highest standards. I think that's fair to say. Anyway, let's move on. Let me show you the performance test. Well, here's to a new experience then, folks. Does the largest, or at least tallest ever, loco I've ever run on this layout work? Right, yep, forwards direction. Let's find out. Let's give it some juice. Yep. It's going. I'm back. Yeah, core. That's just the job, isn't it? Yeah, it seems to work well. We've got not an LED in the front, but an old-fashioned bulb. What on earth is that about? I mean, it's got a beautiful colour temperature because it's tungsten, so it looks good, but obviously it's not going to be very bright at the low speeds. So yeah, quite old-fashioned in that sense, but you know, again, that's kind of in the Christmas spirit, isn't it? It's almost a bit traditional looking, so I don't think that's a problem. Alright, so yeah, it seems to be running okay. Let's do a 50% speed run past. Yeah, I would say that's pretty sensible. Yeah, decent bit of gearing there. Has it got much power behind it? Let me find somewhere safe to put my finger. Yeah, we'll go with there. Yeah, it's got some torque in the mechanism, so that's good. Slows down a little bit, but not too much. And finally, let's find out what the crawl is like. Now, it hasn't been running yet, so as always, I'm not drawing any conclusions until after running in, but straight out of the box, let's see what it's like. Here we go. It's really good. Look at that. Absolutely marvellous. So much better than models that cost twice as much and are half the size. Look at that, just marvellous straight away. Bit faster. There it's, I wouldn't say it's cogging, but it's a bit inconsistent, a bit faster. And there it's actually worst. Yeah, it's just a little bit inconsistent there, so, well, not so much in reverse. Look at that, perfect in reverse. But let's try that again forwards. Little bit doddery forwards, so I'm hoping running in should fix those issues. But yeah, otherwise, what a lovely, lovely engine.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be featuring in some Christmas specials, isn't it, in future years? I absolutely love it, folks. It's just so cool, isn't it? It's just a bit of fun, didn't cost too much, reasonably good quality, and it seems to run more than adequately, I would say. But, the big but, it's unreasonable to expect this loco to run on 00 gauge second and third radius curves, because more than likely it's not designed for them. But if it could find its way to working on them, then I'll actually be able to use this loco. Now, obviously, because I'm not insane, I've removed the passenger footbridge and I've tried to sort of move the bookcase out of the way so that it's not going to catch on those. But is it going to handle the curves? Well, let's find out. Yes, had a slight issue already, unfortunately. Not the loco's fault at all, but of course it's not built to 00 loading gauge. And the tender, I think it was, has just caught on the Hornby power track there. Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot I can really do about that. But let's move it past there and let's try it on the curves at least. Alright, let's see how we get on. So that's fourth radius there, it's done that okay. Oh, it's getting a bit near to the scenery there. But actually, no, it's doing it. That's remarkable. It's quite a big wheelbase, you know, that's got the wheelbase of like a 9F or something. Ooh, bit of a struggle there. But actually, it's handling 00 scale train set curves absolutely perfectly. I'm not even seeing it slow down. Now, can you expect to buy ON30 stuff and have it run on your 00 scale layout? No, obviously they haven't been designed for that, and it would be ludicrous to expect an ON30 manufacturer to design for that. But, you know, if you haven't got stuff that's too close to the layout, if you're not using Hornby power tracks, then at least for Christmas, you could buy something like this and have it run. And equally, if you like the look of ON30 locos and you just want to enjoy them and run them, knowing full well that they're not particularly realistic, then that is definitely something you can do. But for now, I'm going to let this thing run in, and I'll come back to you shortly, and we'll see if I can couple it up to something. Okay, I am back, and I can't believe it. I absolutely can't believe it, to be honest with you. I was expecting to be able to put this on a straight piece of track like this and show it running up and down. I didn't think it would handle the curves. I thought it would catch on all my scenery and such. And instead, this thing is more stable and reliable on my 00 gauge layout than locos that are actually designed for a 00 gauge layout. Yeah, it's just fantastic, and that's really good news, because if you're not too serious about all of your modelling and you want to pick this up for Christmas just for a bit of something different, for a little bit of fun, then you absolutely can, and provided your tunnels and bridges are removable or not too close to the track, you will be able to run this without any problems, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, perfectly reliable, never cut out, never derailed. I really was not expecting that. Anyway, let me show you how the performance is now. Let's go backwards. Yeah, it's a lovely motion, isn't it? It must be said. I don't think it's the smoothest loco in the world at sort of this sort of speed. You can see that it is, well, actually, yeah, there we go. I thought it stopped doing it now I'm on camera, but yeah, it does sort of get stuck a little bit. But having said that, there's loads of torque there, because the crawl's fantastic. Let me show you that. Let's try and go real slow. I mean, don't forget this is a larger scale model than the locos I usually test just here. And yet it's still crawling about as well as a 00 scale loco. So this is kind of going at about half the speed. That's absolutely awesome. And as for torque, obviously we saw that before, but it's even better now that it's running. So that's great. The pulling power came in at 0.5 newtons, which is a little bit low for an O-scale locomotive, and obviously if this was all metal or more metal, I think it would be more powerful than that, but that's still around 30 00 coaches, so I don't think that's too bad. Straight and level track, mind you. But rather than hook this ridiculous engine up to 30 00 coaches,
I've picked these, the Disneyland coaches, which are going to look odd because they're HO and this is obviously O scale. It's going to make the loco look even more giant than it already does, but you know, I think this could be quite interesting. It'll be a bit like a theme park railroad maybe. So yeah, let's back up, let's see if we can couple. I've not actually tried to do this yet. I can't see this from where I am, so you guys will know before I do whether the couplings are at the right height, but let's find out. Oh man. Yeah, they are. So you can couple these up to HO rolling stock. This might just be a standard issue thing for ON30, but I've never tried one before, so I didn't know all of this. Oh, look at that. How smooth it is. Right, theme park ahoy, let's go. Let's go a bit slower, about 40. Oh man, I love this thing. Look at it, it's so silly. Right, so on the middle line, I've got something equally silly. We've got the Hornby Santa's Express, which is the correct scale for this railway. And that is, of course, hauling Santa's reindeer and sleigh, which I guess might be more like ON30 scale. I don't know. And then on the inside line, I've got another Christmas train. Let me show you this one. It's the Hornby Coca-Cola Express, which is a bit commercial. I'm sorry about that. Coke wagon, sleighmobile, and a red brake van. Alright, let's see how it gets on with a small amount of rolling stock then. Look how big it looks against all the scenery. Yeah, look at that, not even slowing down around the curves. Yeah, it's just great, isn't it? Absolutely great. It's both awesome and utterly ridiculous at the same time, because it's a novelty and yet they've put so much effort into making it detailed and realistic. It's got so much more than it needs as a novelty, yet it's still inexpensive. You know, it doesn't cost a fortune. And the fact that you can put it onto an HO or 00 layout like this and have it work perfectly is also another way to make this look ridiculous. Obviously, it's not what the manufacturer intends, but the fact that you can do it and you can have this gigantic Christmas locomotive just booming through your little landscape is just awesome. I think it's so funny. And this is definitely going to be a Christmas staple on my layout from now on. So yeah, I'm thoroughly happy. It's a novelty, it's a quality one at that, maybe with the exception of the mechanism, but generally speaking, it is a quality novelty that didn't cost a lot and performs excellently. And of course, if you've got wider curves than mine, it's going to perform even better, isn't it? So yeah, I just can't fault it. I think for what it's supposed to be, it's a lot of fun and it just does the trick. So well done, Bachmann. What a fun product. Let's do some ratings then for the very awesome Bachmann Christmas 260 in ON30 scale. Now, I wasn't going to give this 5-star on detail because novelty items don't score 5, but then I started thinking, what am I going to criticise about this? The decoration is amazing. There's so many separately fitted parts. All of the detail is basically separately fitted. We've got lights, metal details, painted cab. I actually can't fault the level of detail. I'm not saying it's realistic. It's never within the scope of my reviews to say that, but detailed it absolutely is. So I have given it 5-star. The performance is really, really good. It's surprisingly stable on my 00 scale layout. No problems with the curves or anything. Slight loading gauge issue with the power track, the Hornby power track, and obviously if you've got 00 gauge scenery that is quite low down, tunnels, footbridges, then it's going to struggle, but that's not a reflection of the model. Yeah, it's perfectly smooth, great around curves, never derails or anything like that, and the crawl is great as well. Yeah, really, really good crawler. It's not perfectly smooth at all speeds. At the sort of medium speeds it can be a little bit juddery, but overall really good performer, 4-star. The pulling power, not too bad either. 30 coaches, 30 00 coaches that is. Obviously that's straight and level track. If you start including curves and gradients it's going to be less, but still it's not too bad. I think the loco could have been a little bit heavier and then it would have been more powerful, but I think it's adequate really. The mechanism is what lets this down, in my opinion. I've given it 2-star. First of all, no tender pickups or connection of any kind, so that's unfortunate. No proper bearings on the Loco driving axles, no proper access to the bearings. Couldn't find a way to remove the Loco body either, which is a problem for accessing the DCC socket, if indeed there is one. So yeah, one or two things not quite right with that, but it does run well, that's what I will say. The quality then for me is a 3-star. Now there's a lot of good in the quality here. The decoration is fine, there's no visible glue. The quality of the component seems to be okay. But the Loco itself, body-wise, is mostly plastic. Maybe a bit of die-cast would have been nice. Not a problem for the price, but we're speaking generally here. Some of the moulded parts aren't absolutely fantastic, and then there was the issue with the loose screws. When you tighten them up, the wheels become a little bit stiff, and also the drawbar droops down quite a lot. So it loses a couple of stars, but overall it's a good quality model. And then finally, with an RRP of £173.50, that seems quite reasonable. But at Train World for $120, that's absolutely marvellous. £106.29 for this? Yes please, why not? So yeah, really, really good value, just the job in fact. If every Bachmann model was this reasonable, I'd be a very happy man. So overall that is 7.83 out of 10. Let's put that into the logbook. It is 16th place above the Hornby 28XX and below the GP40. Yeah, for a little bit of Christmas fun, this is just the job. And if you're wondering how this thing gets past my power track now, well, it was just the very tip of the steps that were catching on it, so I just snipped those off. Obviously it's a bit sacrilegious, but I did it, and now the Loco's fine, so that's that problem solved. Well folks, I hope you enjoyed this engine as much as I did. I just love the way it looks. It's just so silly how massive it looks against all my 00 scenery. Yeah, I love it. What a lot of fun. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Are there any other ON30 Locos you'd like to see me try? I would love to hear from you. Now that I know that this will work, I would like to try some more. Obviously, if some of them don't respect my loading gauge and they catch on the scenery and such, then that's just bad luck. It won't be the Loco's fault because clearly it's not intended to do this sort of thing. But, you know, the fact that this big chunky thing was okay suggests that maybe there are other bits that will be okay as well. But yeah, that was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Something new. Never looked at an ON30 model before, so definitely a first for me. Thank you for sharing that with me, and I will see you very soon. Merry Christmas, folks. I'll catch you on the next one.